Welcome, everybody. I am so glad you're back with me again. Man, I am telling you, I received from a gentleman recently a email, if you will, someone that I know, and he said, Henry, man, I am suffering from loneliness. And that really took me, by surprise. Because if you know this gentleman, he's got a wife and 4 children. He lives in a wonderful home. He's doing well. He's a business owner, and he's doing well. And when he said that, I thought for a moment, how could someone having so much be lonely? Is that possible? So I had to sit back and kind of get my thoughts together. How am I going to respond to this email? And then it dawned on me that so many people out there who are single believe that somehow it's only single people suffer from loneliness. Man, I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about loneliness and how it affects everybody, whether you are married, single, male, female, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a business owner, whether you are a civil worker, whomever you are, even the young people, teenagers, everybody suffer from the issue of loneliness. Now, I know we put on all of our makeup, we put on all of our masks, and, we always want the public to know that we've all gotten it together. But can we just for a moment, right now, as you're listening and as you're watching, I want everybody to just let your hair down. Now, if you don't have any hair on your head like me, just chill. Just chill for a moment and let's just be real. And especially those of you who call yourself Christians, I think sometimes because we are Christians, we have a tendency to want to paint the picture that dealing with the regular issues of life is a sign of failure on our part of serving God and living the faith life the proper way. Just because you're Christian doesn't mean that you won't be subjected to loneliness and your emotions won't be all over the place. Come on, let's just be real. Everybody, I want you to listen to me. Let's just be real. Just because we're born again doesn't mean that our emotions have been delivered. We've got feelings. You mess with us, we'll cuss you out in a minute and tell the Lord we're sorry. Now, I'm not telling you I'm giving you permission to do that, but let's just be honest. Some people will aggravate us to the point that we want to hurt somebody. I got Bible to prove it. Here's Peter. Jesus told him, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter, of course, said, no, I would never do that. But when somebody started messing with him, one woman pointed him out, and this man tried to hold him. Peter took out his knife. And that really messes me up. Every time I read that in the Bible, I keep asking myself the question. Not one time the gospel, when it talks about Peter, had it ever mentioned that Peter was carrying a knife. Never. We had no idea that Peter possessed a knife. And if you're from the Caribbean, maybe it's a machete. He was carrying that. So that lets us know that Peter, look, he's one of Jesus's 12 disciples. Yet he had a dangerous weapon on him and he pulled it out. And guess what? He used it. Here's my point. All of us, I don't care if you're a Christian or not, you rubbed us the wrong way, we will mess you up. We'll cut you, man. We'll cut you. Maybe not physically, but we will cut you with our words. We get angry just like non-believers. Our thoughts can wander like non-believers. Come on now. Our thoughts will wander. We get discouraged, and we also suffer from loneliness. And I think the sooner we own up to that loneliness will visit every one of us. So this gentleman, with his family and his kids, his businesses thriving and so forth, he's suffering from loneliness. How is that possible? How is that possible? So I want to talk to the married people for a moment, then I'll deal with the singles, because this is juicy and this is good. I think as married people, we need to be careful. I want every married person to listen to me carefully. Sometimes the mistake that we have made is we get married, we're excited, but I don't think we understood the responsibility of a union. I think when we got married, for many people, many people got married because they want to legalize the sex. Let's be honest. Especially the person of faith. You don't want to feel guilty, so you just, I'm going to get married to legalize the sex. That's not a good way, or a good reason to get married, right? Not just to legalize the sex. Sex is a part of marriage. But you want to get married for several reasons. But let's go through the wrong reasons people get married for. They get married, like I said, because they want to legalize the sex. They get married because of status. Especially women struggle with this. By a certain age, they want to get married, and, because of their biological clock, and all that kind of stuff. Or they want to prove to society and their friends that, wait a minute, I got married in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, and so forth. And anxiety will set in, so they'll rush to get married, right? Some people get married because of financial stability. 2 income is better than 1, right? And then some people get married because, I just want to have kids and so forth. And those things, though those are good reasons to get married, you got to be careful, because at the end of the day, like this gentleman, he's got the wife, he's got the children, he's got the home, right? He's got the successful business. So why is he lonely? Why is he lonely? Because in marriage, people need to understand that when you get married, that's the beginning of the courtship. That's the beginning of making sure you don't get so busy in your marriage doing life and family and making money that you don't keep the sparks in the relationship, the fire in the relationship. You don't keep the connectivity in the relationship. One of the things that I believe the coronavirus did for all of us, and some of you may disagree, I think what it has done, it has allowed us to refocus our attention on the importance of family, the importance of chilling out and not building our lives on stuff, because the coronavirus pulled all that from us. So now there are men and women who are married are now enjoying their home much more than before the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, they would just go out every day and passing in the living room, whatever, and so forth. Hardly had time to enjoy the house. And like this gentleman, I know him very well, and so forth. He's hardly home. He travels a lot. And but a wonderful home. And you have to wonder at times, what benefit does it give to an individual to profit the whole world and lose your soul? That's scripture. He said, how does that apply to this? Your soul to God. Because when you allow loneliness to kick in, then there's that sense of isolation, that sense of worthlessness, that sense of, not accomplishing anything and feeling like a failure. Therefore, your soul is not in the right position to receive the mercies of God that He's releasing to you every day. So, married people, you need to take a moment now and you need to take inventory of your relationship and say, wait a minute, am I too busy trying to provide for my family, trying to provide for my husband or my wife, or trying to keep this roof over my head, trying to buy furniture, trying to buy a car, and that's keeping me so busy that the human contact, that the dating, the moment to just sit down around the dining table and say, look, you know what? I had a rough day today, man, at the office, or this person ticked me off, or here's how I feel, and so forth. Because people need to understand this, the lack of communication creates isolation. Let me say that again. The lack of communication creates isolation. Many marriages are failing and have failed because they cut off the line of communication. They get ticked off at each other. So they don't talk anymore. They just become roommates at the house. So because there's no more communication, isolation. And then you could be in the midst of a house, a crowd, and still feel lonely. So I kind of get it with this guy. He's in this house, 4 kids, his wife, and he's lonely. Because every one of us suffer from loneliness. You will never, listen to me, you will never feel appreciated based on the stuff you acquire. Things don't bring value to your life. If a certain car defines who you are, you're in big trouble. If it's your status of just, okay, you're married and so forth, no. Because I'm going to touch on the singles for a moment. If singles can't address their loneliness by themselves while they're single, then all they're going to do is transfer that spirit of loneliness in their marriage. And remember, a guy, for a lady, you marry a guy and you think, okay, he's in the house with you now. There are going to be moments that you don't want to see that joker in your face. There are going to be moments you don't want to see that woman around you. Right? There are moments you're going to like, okay, give me a breathe here, give me some space and so forth. So you can't just say, okay, I want to get married, or I want to be in a relationship because I don't want to be lonely, because you may find that some people carry the spirit of a turnoff. That's the only way I could phrase it. In other words, you think their company would make you feel safe, but honey, let me tell you something. Might as well you stay by yourself, because their spirit turns you off so much that you don't even want to talk with them. You don't even want to be in their space. And I'm telling you, I hear from so many people, it is possible to be in a relationship and feel lonely. Feel lonely. Because, what do you do in times of loneliness? In times of loneliness, especially if you have a partner, you should be so open to your partner in that marriage that you can be honest. Hey, you know what? I just feel lonely. In this house, I feel lonely. With these kids, I feel lonely. With you, I feel lonely. And then talk about it and find ways how to embrace each other. Sometimes a hug. Sometimes, not just asking for what you need, but releasing, come on now, what you can give to another person, right? So that other person won't feel lonely. So married people, I am here today to tell you, man, that you have to address this sense of loneliness in your marriage. There is no way you're supposed to be in a relationship and feel lonely, right? People in the house, come on now. Gather everybody. Say, let's talk. Communication, the lack of it brings isolation. So you got to be able to talk, create conversations, even address some of the most sensitive topics that you try to shy away from, and so forth. Even in the midst of this pandemic, do creative things, like, come on, guys, man, married people, it's got to be more than, okay, staying at home, everybody working in their own space, the kids online, and then, she with rollers in her hair, she's African American, she got these big mama's cap over her head, and if she Caucasian and so forth, she probably would roll stuff, stick some pins in there, some sticks, or whatever Caucasian women do and so forth, and then come at nighttime, all you do now, you jump into bed and you want to do you want to do stuff, what I'm talking about, you want to have sex, right? And so forth. And then after a while, that gets boring. After a while, come on. The routine stuff, you got to spice things up. What about even in your backyard? I'm going to give you some advice for free, man. Even in your backyard. In the daytime, take about 30 minutes out of your time. Get away from your desk, your lunchtime. Get a towel. put it in the grass. Do a picnic out there in your backyard or something like that. And just, bring, the juice and the sandwich and different things and just chill and talk. Say, we're going to have our own picnic. This is our park today and so forth. Stuff like, okay, why don't you say, okay, each of us, we're going to write a letter to each other about how we feel. Or if you don't want to write, record how you feel right now, what's your emotions like as you're going through this pandemic and so forth. Find creative ways to pull your lover into your thought process so that you don't feel isolated, so that you don't feel lonely. And then ask for a hug. Sometimes, I think women, come on, man. Mentally, you want him to hug you. Sometimes the guys, they don't know. They really, honestly, I'm going to speak on their behalf. They don't know what you want. Because when they hug you, you're like, if they don't hug you, you're like, why are you not hugging me? So I think you have to work with the guys. Same thing, men. You have to study your woman. You have to know her. You have to understand that there are moments she just wants to be hugged, or she just wants to be affirmed. She just wants you to say, hey, I appreciate you. I love you. She just wants to say, you still look sexy to me. Now go take off that grandma's hat. Go take off them grandma pants. Come on. You still got it, baby. But come on, go comb your hair. Come on, man. Baby, we're going to go on a date night tonight. We ain't going nowhere. We're going to have dinner around the table. Let's dress up. Come on, I'm tired of seeing you in them rollers. I'm tired of seeing you. You look homeless. This is so funny. This is so good. So, just be open. But you have to affirm her. You have to say, you look great. Man, I'm still into you. Same thing you say to the guy. You say to your husband, I really appreciate you. You're my boo. Rub his head, bald head, or whatever he got. Rub it. I got you. Do it in front of the kids so that you're doing two things. You're teaching the kids what love is and what affection is. And secondly, you're also training them for their relationship. You see, a lot of couples today are not teaching their children affection. And that's why their children will grow up and they'll get married. And because it's learned behavior, they don't give it to their spouse. And especially if their spouse comes from a home that was given it, then you have two worlds that is not connecting and so forth. And then therefore isolation sets in. So you got to learn how to create that sense of belonging to avoid the isolation and the loneliness. Now, what do you do when you feel lonely as a couple? I'm still going to get to singles. What do you do as a couple when you feel lonely? Then the best thing I would suggest to do to you is that, like I said, express yourself, find unique ways of making sure that you get rid of that loneliness. The one thing you don't want to do is to go into isolation. The one thing you don't want to do is to suppress that. Sometimes counseling is needed. Sometimes your problem is bigger than just your family. It's bigger than your spouse. Sometimes there could be something going on with you. Listen to me, ladies. Sometimes it's something going on with you and your husband is not understanding that, it's not that you hate him. It's not that you're a witch. It's just that you're going through menopause. That's it. It's just that you're putting the man on pause. And you're sensitive now, and he doesn't know because his mama didn't train him, his daddy didn't train him. So we're having this culture of this repeat of bad behavior. And so forth. So, she's feeling lonely and you got to understand her mood swings, and you got to be able to identify, okay, does she need counseling? Does she need to go see a doctor? Or you, sir, do you need to go see a doctor because you may be struggling from situations in the past. You might have been molested, and all kinds of stuff is happening and so forth. Feeling unappreciated because some men, when they lose their jobs or they're not bringing in the money they normally bring in, especially during this pandemic, they panic and so forth. That's where women come in to say, hey, honey, baby, it's gonna be all right. Don't worry. I know you used to bring home $5,000 a month. Now it's only $2,000. Babe, we're just gonna live off the $2,000. I still got you. We still got the children. We're fine. The reaffirmation, reaffirming each other, embracing each other. Now let me go to the singles, because this one is good. Are you guys ready? Now singles, again, I've established the fact that married people get lonely, and I know you don't understand. How in the world can married people get lonely? Are you crazy? They're married. They got their Boaz, they got their Ruth, they can't be lonely and so forth. You'll be shocked. So you're not the only one. Now, I think you have to dig deep into yourself and see why you're lonely. I think I've established the fact that you should never jump into a relationship or a marriage all because you just trying to get rid of your loneliness. Until you fix that issue, you're going to bring into someone else's life drama. So you got to identify what creates your loneliness, because it could be that you don't like yourself. It could be that you're suffering from low self-esteem. It could be that you don't know how to be happy by yourself. I've spoken about that in previous podcasts. And I talked about you have to start loving yourself, appreciating yourself, liking you, and being able to live with yourself for a while before you can live with others. Because if you're miserable by yourself, you'll be miserable with company, right? So you have to examine yourself. Why are you lonely? It could be that you're lonely because you're looking for someone to affirm you. Wow, that's dangerous. Because in marriage, the husband should affirm the wife, and same the wife will to the husband. But you're single. You have to, girl, listen to me. You have to tell yourself, I like me. You have to tell yourself, I love me. And you know what? I love sleeping in my own bed. I love the fact I can get up in the morning whenever I want to. And if I don't want to make breakfast, if I don't want to do nothing, I don't have to answer to nobody. I can do whatever I want. With my paycheck, I can go shop till I drop. I don't have to answer to nobody. When you're in a marriage, you can't do that. You have to embrace yourself first. Being single, you cannot enjoy marriage if you have not enjoyed your singleness. Let me say it again. You will not enjoy marriage if you cannot enjoy your singleness. So you have to live life to the fullest. Right? Don't be lonely while you're single. And I know what you're saying, Henry. You just don't understand. I'm tired of hugging my pillows. I'm tired. I need a man in the bed with me. I need a man in the bed with me. I'm tired. It gets cold. Come on now. And especially when it rains. Talk to me here. I know you saved, but you ain't that saved. You ain't dead. Come on. You're not dead. We still have our sexual feelings. As a single person, you still have your sexual feelings. And, many churches don't want to deal with this. Christians don't want to deal with it because we're saved, sanctified, and we're filled with the Holy Ghost. So our sex drive is dead. You don't want to kill your sex drive. Trust me. Because when you get married, you don't belong in the bedroom. You don't belong in the bedroom. So you don't want to kill that. So how do you deal with it then? As a single person? Of course, the Word of God teaches us that we ought to put the body under subjection. And the Bible gives us practical steps on how to control our thoughts, control what we see. And then if you're able to do that, you pray to God and you trust His Word, lean on Him, seek for help, and so forth. You'll be all right. But the fact that, you just want somebody in the bed, just to romance you. Let me tell you something. Listen, this is just the God's honest gospel truth. If that's how you see life, you're in for a huge mistake. You're in for a shocker in your life because, honey, You may feel lonely at nights, hugging your pillows, your hormones all over the place. It's raining and it's gotten worse. And as you know, women, before your cycle, after your cycle, men, we're always high, always high, always high. We're ready all the time. Come on. You got to understand that, look, you can get a man in the bed. And listen, the married people can tell you. Listen now. I'm going there. The married people can tell you. You get a man in the bed and he go and he's all happy and nice and ready. And when he's done, I'm telling the truth. That joker is fast asleep. And then you're sitting up in the bed and you're looking at him. Really? So if you think just having a man in the bed, honey, it only lasts for a few minutes. That's it. What am I saying? You got to love yourself. And you got to understand that loneliness affects all of us. You can have a man in the bed, you're still going to be lonely. You can have not have a man in the bed, you're still going to be lonely. So don't ever allow the changes of the climate and the situation. Some of you struggle during Thanksgiving and Christmas and, those seasons where, love is in the air. Valentine's Day, I should say. Valentine's Day is a day where, so many people struggle. They want, a partner and love is in the air and all the kind of stuff and so forth. You cannot allow the lack of these things to set the tone for you in life, whether you're happy or you are lonely. So loneliness must be treated. Some of you are teens, millennials, and many of you are struggling with that, because it's a self-identification crisis. You don't know who you are, right? You don't know who you are. And because many of you are, again, you're at that stage of your life. Some of you young men, you're at the stage of your life. Your testosterone levels are high. Your sex drive is high. The woman, she's there. She's trying to discover herself. And how do you deal with this? Because sometimes you need somebody to talk to. And this is what I would say. If you live by yourself, try to build support groups around you. Try to find people that you can bring into your space, bring into your environment, that you can talk to them, that you can, let them hold you accountable, that you can pick up the phone any given time and say, look, girl, can we just talk? Can we just talk? And so forth. Because you see, you can't create your own isolation and then blame other people or put it out there to say that you're lonely when there's a community of people there to support you. There's a community of people to support you. Some of you have been hurt by people so bad that you have built walls, you've built your own prison, and you don't want anybody to get into your space. You've already declared, I don't need any more friends, which is dangerous. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want nobody in my space and so forth. And that is very dangerous. So you have to address loneliness. And I'm about to say something that's going to shock you. Loneliness is okay. It's normal. Yes, it's normal. It's normal to be lonely, whether you're single or you're married, whether you're young, middle-aged, old, black, white, I don't care who you are. Loneliness is normal. David, many occasions, David was lonely. David suffered from depression. He hid himself in a cave. It's possible. We all go through the stage of loneliness, but it's what you do when you go through those stage of loneliness that will determine the level of your success. Seniors are also lonely. They don't need a husband. They don't need a wife. That's not even on their radar. But they're lonely. They no longer have their kids, their spouse died or something like that and so forth. So what do you do? What do you say to seniors when they feel lonely? This is where seniors have to create a support group around them. There's so many different organizations that are available. I know with this coronavirus pandemic, you're not able to meet together in groups, but, I would say to all the seniors, find ways of having someone to tutor you how to use social media, how to use these latest digital platforms, because there are support groups out there where seniors can log in and you can be entertained, you can be, counseled or whatever and so forth. There is no excuse for people today to be lonely. So I want to conclude with this because I'm not going to be long. I think I've said a lot. I encourage you to hit the replay button. Listen to it over and over. I've addressed the married people, the single people, the millennials, and the seniors. Loneliness affects all of us. That's number one. All of us. We're affected by loneliness. We're going to experience it. You can't rebuke it. Right? You can't speak to it and say, move out of my way, and it will be removed. It is going to confront you from time to time. Second thing you need to do is you need to first recognize that you have to understand who you are and stop looking to people and things to create a void that they cannot. Only God can fill that void that makes you feel complete. Marriage doesn't complete you. A boyfriend doesn't complete you. A girlfriend doesn't complete you. A job doesn't complete you. A business doesn't complete you. Having a big house doesn't complete you. Having children doesn't complete you. Setting up a business doesn't complete you. Making plenty of money doesn't complete you. Being connected to great influential people doesn't complete you. What completes you is knowing who you are in Jesus Christ. Once you identify who you are, that's it. That's it. Then you can handle the moments of loneliness because they will come. So when you're struggling with your loneliness at home, you'll tell yourself, this is for a season. This is a while. I got to deal with it. You pick up the phone. You reach out to your support group. You text your support group, whatever you do. You go on Zoom or whatever platforms, social media platforms you need to go on to kind of get that loneliness away from you. Couples, you need to put some fire back into your relationship. Find unique ways of avoiding being in a marriage feeling lonely. We can get through the loneliness. I'm not telling you can get rid of it. It's going to come. But you can overcome it when you know who you are. So I've given you enough information right now that there's no need for you to sink in depression when you're lonely. There's absolutely no need. So right now, if I've spoken to you and I've encouraged you, I need to hear from you because I believe I've delivered a whole lot of people. Do not let people, the status in life, and material things set the tone for whether you're happy or lonely. No, loneliness will attack all of us, every one of us, but we have to know how to handle it. So be strong, my friend. Be strong. I got to hear from you. I hope you've enjoyed this. I can't wait to get to the next podcast because I'm going to be dealing with topics that most people don't want to talk about. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be candid. I am going to be really open, and I'm going to be as plain, if you will, as ever, breaking it down, and I'm going to make you feel comfortable. Remember, these platforms are not for the goody-goody people, the righteous, holy people. No, the religious people. This platform is for real people dealing with real issues, and I'm going to try to answer them. So thanks again for watching. Remember, share, like, subscribe, and follow. I need you to do that. Pass this information on to as many people. Can I just pray before I end it? Father, thank you that I have spoken some life into someone. That, Lord, I just believe that the loneliness they've been struggling with for years, it's going to stop. That they'll embrace the fact that, yes, the feelings will come on, whether they're married, single, young, old, or a senior. But it's how they handle it. It's how they confront it. Give them the grace to confront it, to do their part. And I thank you that the best is yet to come for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Don't be lonely. God's on your side. Hey everyone, this is Henry Fernandez, and I want to thank you so much for watching this video, my friends. And I want you to subscribe to my channel. And my friends, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Hit the notification bell so that you'll be the first to get my notice of my videos that I'm sending out on a daily basis. And please, I want you to follow me on all of my social media platforms. And remember, you can connect with me on my website, henryfernandez.org, or the faithcenterint.org. My friends, faith in your God will always move mountains out of your life.